Tonight, a legend rises from the sea again, and this time the world is watching. Sandokan is back on Italy's Rai 1, and Can Yaman is stepping into one of the most iconic adventure roles in European TV history. If you love big stories, epic characters, and behind-the-scenes context, hit like and subscribe, because this series is built like an event. Now, what makes this such a big deal? Because Sandokan isn't just another new show. For a lot of people, especially in Italy, Sandokan is a cultural memory. A pirate prince. A myth. A hero who lived in classic adventure novels and later became a TV phenomenon that entire generations grew up with. When a story becomes that loved, it stops being only entertainment. It becomes protected. And that's why rebooting Sandokan is risky. Nostalgia doesn't play fair. People don't simply watch a reboot, they compare it to the version living in their minds. The mood, the romance, the danger, the costumes, the music, even the way the hero stands in silence. Fans want the same magic again, and they want it to feel real. So when a new Sandokan adaptation arrives in 2025, with an international-scale production and Can Yaman in the lead, it's not small news. It's a high-stakes moment. Let's break it down in a way that's simple and satisfying. What is Sandokan? What story is this new series telling? Who are the key characters? And why is Can Yaman's casting such a bold move? First, who is Sandokan? Sandokan began as the hero of classic adventure novels by Italian writer Emilio Salgari, written in the late 1800s. In those stories, Sandokan becomes famous across the seas as the Tiger of Malaysia, a pirate leader with a fierce reputation, a loyal crew, and a sense of destiny that keeps pulling him towards something bigger than survival. And here's the key. Sandokan is not only a pirate story. It's freedom versus empire, loyalty versus betrayal, love versus duty, destiny versus choice. That emotional engine is why the story keeps returning. Now the 2025 series brings Sandokan back as a modern event series on Rai 1 and Rai Play, with 8 episodes designed to feel bigger than standard TV drama. It's meant to be watched like a primetime event, not background content, and it's clearly positioned to travel internationally after the Italian run. So what does the new story promise? The setting is mid-1800s Borneo, a world of jungle, sea routes, and colonial power. Sandokan lives on the edge of that world as a pirate, sailing the seas with his trusted friend Yanez de Gomera. But everything shifts when Sandokan's life becomes tied to a prophecy, and suddenly, he's not only a man with a ship, he's becoming a symbol. And symbols attract two things: followers and hunters. That's where Labuan enters the story, a colonial island of order, uniforms, parties, rules, and political power. Sandokan arrives there in disguise, and this is where the series lights the fuse. He meets Mariana Gillink, often framed as the Pearl of Labuan, the daughter or close family of colonial authority. Mariana represents the world behind walls: comfort, status, safety, and expectation. Sandokan represents the world outside walls: danger, freedom, rebellion, and the thrill of living by your own rules. When they meet, it isn't just romance. It's a collision of worlds. But love in Sandokan is never simple, because the person hunting Sandokan is also tangled in Mariana's world. Enter Lord James Brooke. Brooke is presented as the relentless pirate hunter, powerful, charismatic, and willing to go far to win. He becomes Sandokan's rival, and the rivalry isn't only about the sea. It becomes personal. It becomes psychological. It becomes a battle over what Sandokan represents. So right away, the series builds multiple collisions. Sandokan versus colonial power. Sandokan versus Brooke. Love versus loyalty. Comfort versus freedom. Destiny versus choice. That is the blueprint of an epic. Now let's talk about the biggest question. Why Can Yaman? Because Sandokan is not a safe role. It's a myth role. Sandokan can't feel like a normal modern protagonist. He needs to feel like the kind of man a crew would follow into war. A leader with presence, danger, charisma, and that quiet authority you don't have to explain. But if he's only action, the story collapses. Sandokan also needs emotional weight. He carries responsibility for his crew, a chosen family forged by storms, betrayal, and survival. He's hunted. He's cornered. And then Mariana enters his life, and she doesn't just become a love interest. She becomes the cost of desire. Because if Sandokan chooses her, he risks his mission, his crew, his identity. And if Mariana chooses him, she risks everything society promised her: safety, status, and the future written on her behalf. That's why their romance feels dangerous, not cute. Now here's the theme that makes Sandokan timeless, and you should underline this in your video. Sandokan is not born a legend. He is forged into one. Forged by pressure. Forged by pursuit. Forged by love. Forged by the moment he realizes his life no longer belongs only to himself. That's the difference between a pirate adventure and a myth. And that's why Italy treats this story like an event series in prime time. Because it's not only about what happens next episode, it's about watching a legend get built in real time. So if you're new to Sandokan, here's the simplest way to understand what you're watching. You're watching a rebel figure rise against empire, pulled between the sea and the idea of freedom, while falling for the one person who could change his destiny. Now I want to ask you something, because the comment section is part of the fun with projects like this. Do you think Can Yaman is the right Sandokan for a new generation? Or do you prefer the classic idea of Sandokan that lived in older adaptations? Write your answer below. And if you want part 2, I'll break down the biggest things the first episode is setting up, the prophecy, the romance, and why Lord Brooke might be the most dangerous kind of rival. The kind who wants to erase your legend, not just defeat you. Because legends don't return quietly, and Sandokan was never meant to.